So this is the last phase of Dart programming language for beginners, and this phase is about the object-oriented programming. So in this phase, we will discuss about the basics and the fundamentals of object-oriented programming. So before starting classes and objects in Dart programming, I would give you a short introduction about what is object-oriented programming. So basically, object-oriented programming, or OOP, is a style of programming characterized by the identification of classes and objects closely linked with the methods or functions with which they are associated. And it also includes the ideas of inheritance, encapsulations, polymorphisms, and the attributes of the methods. So here we are going to discuss about the classes and objects in Dart programming. So in this phase, we will discuss about the classes, objects, and constructors. So what are classes? So classes are the data types or are user-defined data types based on which objects are created. Objects with similar properties and methods are grouped together to form a class or build a class. Thus, a class represents a set of individual objects which are characterized of an object and represented in a class as properties. The actions that can be performed by objects become functions of the class and is referred to as methods or functions of a class. So for example, properties can be any kind of, for example, if I have a class of student, then what are the properties of student? So there would be a properties of student is student name, student roll number, student age, student father name, and anything about the student which is related with the student can be counted in a properties of student. And the functions or things that student can do, we can say methods and function which a student does. So this is the properties and functions which a class used. So the next thing is objects. So what is object? Basically, object is a basic unit of object-oriented programming, which is the core part of class, and every class has objects, and the objects are linked with the classes. So objects are identified by its unique name. An object represents a particular instance of a class. There can be more than one instance of an object. It's up to you. You can create many instances according to your choices and demands. And each instance of an object can hold its own relevant data. For example, if I have created an instance for name, then it would create then it would hold the data of name. It would not hold the data of the age. So it would hold the data according to the instance of the object. An object is a collection of data members, and associated members functions are also known as methods. So let's understand the classes and objects with a common example. For example, an architect will have the blueprints for a house. So basically, blueprints are known as maps. So before starting the construction of house, we have a map which the architect and the labor and other laborers follows for the building of house or anything which they are going to build. So those blueprints or maps will be plans that explain exactly what properties the house or building will have and how they are laid out. So basically, they explain or write the everything and create the design in the map, that how the building would like, or the house, how the house would look like when they after the constructions. So however, it is just the blueprint or a map. You cannot live in it because it's just a map, and it is just a plan which you are going to build in it. So basically, class is just a blueprint which you have to build it. So builders look at the blueprints and use those maps to build the things. And they can, if the map is related to building, they would they would construct a building, or the map related to house, they would construct the house. So they can use the same blueprint to make as many as houses and as many as buildings for for that particular purpose. And each house or each building what they are going to build have some properties and have their some functions. So each house can accommodate its own families. So one house might have the family of Sarah, and one house have the family of uh, Muhammad. So each house has its own properties, and each house have their own function. So the blueprint is the class, the house, and the house, basically the blueprint is a class and the house is the object. So basically class is just a plan, whereas the objects is the existence physical property of the class. So class is just a plan which we are following to create the object, and object are the real things. So the people living in the house are data stored in the object property. So basically uh, in this example we have clear that classes are similar to blueprints, which are using for the constructions of uh, basically which are basically they are using to build the objects. So objects are the real things which have to be developed by following the blueprints. So in coming videos we will see how to use classes and objects in Dart programming.